This video and all content on this channel is performed by a pest control professional, and it is always recommended to hire a pest control pro in your area to perform any pest control in or outside your home. Pesticides can harm you and your loved ones. Anyone who is performing the information in this video is doing so at their own risk. If you decide to try the info provided in this video, please always check with the local laws in your area and read the labels of any product you use. The label is the law.
Hey everybody, this is Jason Akers again with Green Acres Pest Control, and today I want to go over how to make sure you get a decent pest control company working for you. I had a comment on one of my videos asking me if I could make a video about this certain topic, because pest control, even though my channel is really built around do-it-yourself, teaching people, how to be safe with chemicals, where to apply, how to be effective, which chemicals are actually safe to use around your children, your pets, and what natural things might actually be harmful to you. Some people would rather just forget all of that, hire a professional, and somebody else come in and do it for them. And there is a lot to be said for that. There's a lot of protection that comes with hiring a technician. One thing is typically your pest control companies are licensed by the state that they practice in, and they're also insured, much like a doctor. They have to go through hours upon hours of training, sometimes even days worth of training, just to be able to get their license, to ensure they even know what they're doing, because they're coming in your house. The state wants to make sure that they actually are being safe and they're not going to harm you in any way. This comes with having to understand labels, how to understand the different families of chemicals, the different, how each pesticide reacts around, if they're toxic to mammals, if they aren't toxic to mammals, which bugs they're more effective on, which bugs they aren't effective on, and how to deal with resistances and stuff like that, like with cockroaches and bed bugs and fleas and other types of bugs. So this is one of the things you get with a licensed professional. I want to give you a scenario. Let's assume you have like a mouse or a rat issue in your house, and you're concerned about the health and well-being of your children or your pets or whatever, and you go out to a feed store or a farm store, or maybe even Lowe's or somewhere like that, and you buy rat poison, and you go and you set it out, and you accidentally, because you're not intentionally doing this, you poison your neighbor's cat or dog, or heaven forbid their child. You are liable. Your homeowner's insurance probably won't even pay to protect you, and you could end up with jail time or prison time because of something that all you were trying to do was protect your children, protect your family, protect your house. And in a pest control company that you hire is going to be insured against something like that, and more than likely they're not going to do that. The thing is they're actually professionals. They are taught how to use things effectively around children and pets and not hurt a neighbor's child, or or even your own children. They don't want to hurt your children either. So that's one of the things that you do get when you hire a pest control company. Those are the main reasons, and you're not having to do the work either. And sometimes, depending on what type of problem you've got, whether maybe it's bed bugs are a very it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. For those that are on my channel, leave me a comment below. Tell people how hard it is to kill bed bugs. Tell people how much labor it is. Those that have do it themselves, or even technicians, that watch my channel, tell my audience, say, hey, yeah, he's right. It's really difficult getting rid of bed bugs. I had to lift this many beds. It was this much work, because it absolutely is a lot of work. And you don't have to do that work. Now, you may have to pay. A lot of exterminators charge a lot for bed bug labor. And so it's one of those things where, is it worth it to hire someone? Because even though you are getting all these protections, what is this company charging you? And that's one of the aspects I want to go over in the question that was posed to me on YouTube was, how do I know I'm not paying too much? How do I know that the pest control company I've hired isn't trying to just take me for more than what it's worth? Pricing is something that's relative to where you live. So where I live in Southern Virginia, we do, I price my bed bug work, my cockroach work, stuff like that, relative to what other people are charging in order to remain competitive. You get up into Northern Virginia, though, up around Falls Church, Arlington, Springfield, Merrifield, all these places, Chantilly, McLean. The pricing up there is absolutely ridiculous. I actually received a quote. A customer actually gave me a quote, showed me what the exterminator was going to charge them to do their house, and they were wanting $12,000 to do a 5-bedroom townhome. It was not a very large building at all. It was actually a relatively small building. It took me and my son about 45 minutes to an hour to treat the entire building, and we charged them a fraction of the price and had to drive 3.5 hours. Now, $12,000 is not cost of living. $12,000 is just what the company wanted to get, figured, because it's Northern Virginia. Price of living is higher up there. They just figured they could get it out of those people. And that is where you have to really call around and ask for local companies. Stay away from big box brands. Now, I'm not saying that all the big box companies, and I'm not going to name any companies on my channel. I'm trying to be classy, I'm not going to call out people specifically. But, I mean, if you've been watching my channel long enough, you know who the big ones are. Don't hire those people. The problem is, once a company gets so large, they stop being run by people like me. Most of your smaller corporations like me, where, it's just maybe 1, 2, maybe 4 or 5 guys doing the work, you're much more likely to get a better service from those people. And the reason I say that is because if we do good work, if I do good work, my customers will tell their family about me, will tell their friends about me, and they'll advertise for me because I don't have a very large advertising budget. I don't paint all my vehicles all the same color in order to stand out. I don't pay for TV or YouTube listings. I don't pay for radio ads. I don't have the income. I don't have the money to do something like that. It's very expensive. And a lot of your smaller companies are just relying mainly on their customer feedback. Customer people telling everybody, hey, hire this guy. He's really great. He does a really good job. And so they're going to do better work for you. Ask around, ask your friends, ask your family. Say, hey, I'm having a problem with bugs. Do you know who's good to hire? Because that's the best way to get a good company that is going to work is word of mouth. It's coming from a friend or a family member. And so, but if you don't know anybody that's had recent pest control, then what you do is you call around and you call a lot of these lower on the totem pole type guys, and you ask questions. How long have you been in the business for? Did you move on from another company? How long? What made you decide to start a pest control company? Ask these questions and find out if your guy is actually going to be moral. If he's going to tell you. If he's open enough to tell you these things. When you're treating my house for cockroaches, is it going to be safe for my children? Is it going to be safe for my pets? What do I need to do? What kind of prep work do you need me to do? Because most guys that have been doing this for a while, they're going to know exactly what they want you to do, and they're going to have a list, and they're going to say, oh yeah, if you have cockroaches, you need to take everything out of your kitchen cabinets. If you want me to treat in those cabinets, I can do that. I usually, recommend it. Take everything, put it on the table, cover it with a sheet, whatever. These are the prep things I tell my customers to do when I go in and do this stuff. And so they're gonna know how their chemicals work. They're gonna know how long it takes them to get rid of a specific bug because they've been doing it. They know. Now, a lot of people will say, "Oh, I just look on Google. I follow Google reviews. I can tell if somebody's any good or not." by their Google reviews. And so this is something I wanted to go over as well, with reviews and Yelp and Google and all these different, ads out there where you can, see what other people's opinions are. So the problem with Google, and this is something I want to address on my channel today. So I had a company, local, startup. I've been in pest control for over 35 years. I know all the local companies around me. I know who they all are. I know when they've started up. I know when they've failed, or if they have not failed and they're still, going strong. I know them. I remember when some started up when I was like 12, 13 years old. They still exist today because I've been in this business since I was a child. And so I had a local business that started up local to me. And I didn't know who they were. I had never heard of them before. And I looked over at the Google reviews. And I'm like, well, who are these people? Let me Google search them and find out who they are. And they're brand new, just started up within a month and already had like 87 5-star reviews. Had no negative reviews at all. They were a straight 5.0 pest control company. That is like, and this is within like a month of startup. That thing right there is very fishy to me. So the reason I say that is because a lot of people will go and leave a review, like especially like a Yelp review or a Google review, if they're dissatisfied, if they're not happy. I have negative reviews. I just kind of respond to them as the business owner and try to explain my point of view, because people can see the negative review, but they could also see what the business said to try to rectify the situation. And so I just try to be as professional as possible when I go and I reply to these reviews, because people get disgruntled and they leave a negative review. It's a lot easier for somebody to leave a negative review than it is to leave a positive one. You are much more likely to get a negative review on a Google listing than you are a positive. And the reason I say this is because people don't like to admit they have bugs. People don't like to go out there and say, oh yeah, I had this guy, he came out to my house and I had bed bugs and he got rid of my bed bugs. No one brags about bed bugs. No one. It's something that's very difficult to get, like I said, a positive review. Now they may come on there and say, hey, I hired Jason, he's great, you won't be disappointed, and then they had either a bug issue or a rat issue or something. I took care of it, but they won't tell you what kind of issue they had, so you can get some positive reviews, and I have gotten some. But when you have a company that just started up that has nearly 100 5-star reviews and not one single person is complaining, that really sets off a red flag to me, because there are these other companies nowadays that you can hire as a business that will go into your Google listing and leave you a 5-star review, and you pay them like $2, $3, $4, $5 a review, and they will leave you several hundred 5-star reviews, because they have all of these accounts on Google that they can use to do that. And it leaves you wondering if they're even legit or not. And so I don't really usually use Google reviews. If I do, I usually read like the 3, 4-star reviews, the 2-star reviews, and I just see how they're being responded to, if they're professional or not. If someone leaves a negative review and the business owner comes in and says, well, that's just because you were stupid, didn't do what I told you to, makes the business sound really bad, like they would treat their customer that way. You should always try to make your customer happy. You should always try to be professional and not degrade the customer because they paid good money to have you come out to their house, and they're just trying to voice their anger in the fact that what they thought they were buying they did not receive. So anyway, that's your Google review. So don't trust Google necessarily, or Yelp for that matter. Yelp is actually one that I'd like to go over and explain that they're more of an extortionist. They aren't a very good company ever to deal with. I have had my business on Yelp since I started my company, and I've got well over 25-star reviews that aren't even considered reviews they recommend to people. This is from people that have actually reviewed me. Their names are my customers. And when I have contacted Yelp about the situation and say, why is it that you're holding my customer reviews, basically holding them hostage over me? And they said, because we don't like it when people are too happy. The guy actually told me that the algorithm is set up to, if someone leaves you a really extremely happy review, like they're just really over thrilled and just can't believe they had such a good job performed, that they don't even consider that as a review. They take it and they strike it from your record, and you can still read that review, but they put in a very, very teeny tiny link at the very bottom of the page that says these reviews are not a recommended for your selection, or whatever they say, something like that. And so I don't recommend Yelp ever, because Yelp is driven by advertisers. They're driven by the companies that can spend more money, because the guy actually told me on the phone when I called and I talked to him, and he's like, well, we can get rid of those. We can put those reviews back up on your page for you, but you have to pay us. And I talked to another Yelp guy, and he said, well, that's not even true, that they can't even do that, that the algorithm, even if they did reopen those reviews, the algorithm would probably put them back in the don't call this person or whatever list. So they aren't truthful. They just try to lie to sell you something, and I just don't trust Yelp ever, and I don't recommend anyone use Yelp for reviews, because they are they're very one-sided, really, towards the advertiser. Angie's List used to be the same way. Angie's List actually used to be a really, really good corporation. They were fueled by the customer. What you would do is you would go in and you would buy a subscription to Angie's List. And what happened is, because you were purchasing a subscription, other people just like you were also purchasing a subscription, and you could ask them, just like your neighbors, and say, hey, do you know who came in and treated you for spiders? Can y'all give me a good suggestion? And so you were getting much more honest reviews, until Angie's List decided to switch their pay scale, and now they charge the advertisers to advertise on their platform to get their name to the top of the list, so people see them first, and they're basically just another Yelp. And so I don't trust Angie's List either anymore, because they're really fueled by the advertisers. If you pay more money, then you can get at the top of the list. If you're not going to pay us enough money, and you don't have the type of corporate money that these guys are pushing into the system, well, then people will never know about you. And that's how I am, because I'm small and I'm not paying Angie's List. I'm not paying Yelp. I'm not paying any of these people to advertise for me. And so I'm not getting pushed up above anyone else. No one even knows I exist. So this is one of the problems with trying to find a reputable pest control company, is that the advertising budget, a lot of small guys like me just don't have it. And if we did put thousands upon thousands of dollars every single month into advertising, we would have calls to where we could not even keep up with the work. Like, for example, it's just me and Rory, my son. We do all the work. I have around 400 and some customers. That's enough for us, in order for me to, advertise on Angie's List or Yelp or some of these bigger corporations. I would have to hire a bunch of other guys to help me work. And then when you get to that, you start getting into this larger scale company to where it's harder to manage your help. This is one of the problems with big box exterminating companies, is that they have the advertising budget. In order to be able to fuel their business, they have to spend so many thousands of dollars a month in advertising to keep everybody working. But in order to manage all those people, it's much more difficult. You run into micromanagement, which I actually think is a good thing. A lot of people hate micromanagers, but truthfully, that's the way I plan on being with my company. I want everyone in my company that ever works for me to be like me. If you have someone come to your home to provide pest control and you've hired Green Acres Pest Control, I want them to behave exactly like me. That's going to create a lot harder of an environment for me, because I have to train all these people to ensure they all behave like me and they do the same quality job that I do. It's very difficult the more people you get in order to get that same quality of service to where everybody behaves the same and everybody's, because if you've got this company, you want everyone in that company, no matter who comes to your house, to give you the same quality service. And that's very difficult the larger you get. So that's why I usually advise people to stay away from large corporate entities, because that's typically what you get. You get these big companies. What they do is they have a budget. They buy so many different pesticides. They may even have 3 to 6 different pesticides in their arsenal. And if you have a problem with, let's say, cockroaches, and the cockroaches are building a resistance to the chemical, they can't just switch and use something else because they don't have it. If you buy 1,000 gallons of a certain pesticide, then you're going to get a cheaper rate than someone who's only buying 1 or 2 gallons of the pesticide. So what they do is they make these deals with these corporate entities and say, hey, we'll buy so many chemicals from you if you give us this deal, if you give us this break on our pesticides. So that's another reason you want to stay away from larger companies. They don't have the ability to swivel. If you notice that you have a specific pest control problem and the bugs are not dying from the chemical, then you need to switch and use something different. Your larger company doesn't have that ability because they make their chemical purchases once or twice a year, and that's all their technicians get to use. They rely heavily on technician feedback, and if they're not having enough technicians complaining about a specific pesticide problem, they're not going to change. And so you run into that a lot. Not every customer is the same. Not every customer has the identical cockroach infestation, whatever. It's not the same. And so you have to be able to change. For example, a couple years ago, I had a problem where the chemicals I've always used since I was a child just stopped killing spiders like I wanted them to. So I changed. I started using Onslaught Fast Cap, and I was getting much better results on my spider pest control plans. Now, if another corporation was going in, like a large corporation, it's got 80, 90 guys working under them, they can't just change every truck over to Onslaught Fast Cap, because that would require, one, you're going to have to make a chemical purchase that you're not budgeted for. You're going to have to outfit all these cars with all this different chemical, and then you're going to have to explain to all the technicians how to use this chemical. And so it's a lot more labor intensive, a lot more work, and a lot of them are just happy using the same thing. And if they lose a customer, well, that's okay, because their advertising will take care of the ones that they lose. That's not good business, in my opinion. So, TLDR of this entire video. I know I've rambled on for like 25 minutes about how to pick your right pest control company, and I hope I've given you good information, explained to you how to do it correctly. But if you want to know the TLDR of the entire video, call around, get small companies, ask them if they've got experience, quiz them. If they're able to give you the right answers, then hire them. If they're able to give you good prices, hire them. If they complain that the prices are too high locally and they just don't feel ethically that it's right to charge you that kind of money, then give them a shot. Hopefully, this video has helped you hire a professional in your area that can help you deal with your pest control needs. Y'all have a good day. I appreciate it. Don't forget, I live stream every Thursday night, and I'll come on and I'll talk to you, and you can call me. I have a call-in number and for Thursday nights, so we can talk live on the air, and hopefully we can get, if you have any questions about pest control, I'm always happy to answer anything that you've got. So y'all have a great day. I appreciate it, and I will see you then. Thanks.